binding already beginning, whatever you want to say there. Um,
Yeah,
so
yeah, beginning.
begin. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's been a long day. Um, so, all right, cool. We're live right now. And yeah, this is test, and the test is to show what our backdrop looks like. This is backdrop number one, Book Club of Duel.
Book club, the.
Of Duel. Yeah.
So, what book are we gonna talk about? Because there's like 17 books that I mean, I'm reading Walk Two Moons right now, and I'm almost done, which is dude, that was actually it's a very touching story. I can't believe that little character and what she's gone through, and then now that she's identifying with her friend who lost her mom too, it's been an interesting book, and it's been like heartfelt. It reminds me, actually, this Tender Land was way more tear jerking than this one.
Oh, I mean, I think there's a lot more in this Tenderland than Walk Two Moons, just based on the fact that it's a a young adult book or made for
Yeah,
children versus that book being definitely made for a more mature audience. However, like I said, I that book I read in front of my 12-year-olds and I cried like a little baby. And then they were like, "Oh, Mr. Hill's crying," and I was like, "Hey, it's sad. Look, I
yeah,
see you crying over there. Don't
yeah.
try to act like you ain't crying."
I see your little throat moving. Yeah,
And that was the thing. And they were really trying to project their feelings because it's easier to do that than to act like you're not getting emotional over a book that's about a little girl that goes through something.
yeah, absolutely.
Um, so where are you? Where exactly are you in that book? Where has she?
In Walk Two.
Yeah, in Walk to Moons.
So I'm at the part where she is just finishing the road trip with her grandparents, and she's finishing the story, and she's talking about her friend. Oh, I can't remember her name. Uh, anyway, um, her friend's mom also left the house, and so her and her she's telling this story to her grandparents, and her friend are at the house, and the dad just broke down because he's like at his wits end. The her friend has gone to the police now twice to try to report her mom as a missing person because she's in denial about the fact that her mom just kind of checked out.
Mm-hmm.
And dad is at the point where he's breaking down. And so the main character of the story, she's identifying with this little girl who, because she went through the same things. She's like, oh, yeah, I remember when I was an a-hole, or I remember when I lashed out at my dad, and I remember when I did these things when my mom left. And she's trying to be sympathetic, but she's also starting to get kind of annoyed.
So
And she's her grandparents this part of the story on their road trip.
where actually are they? Because they're from what I
I think
remember of the book, they're traveling from like
they just went to Mount
Ohio or Illinois.
no, they just went to Mount Rushmore.
So they're just hitting Mount Rushmore. So they went through the dells in the Madison area.
And about to hit Yellowstone.
Okay. So
Yeah.
so you got some turns left in that book. All right. But yeah,
Uh,
you you're
no,
you're, you're getting there. You're like 80% or so, 90%.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we'll have to finish this conversation after you complete the book, and I'm curious to see what your final thoughts are because yeah, it's a really well written story.
Well,
Um,
maybe this first book that we do actually start to finish on and actually do a video on it.
yeah, I think it would be a good one because it's once again it's a good book. It's clean cut. It's not extremely long. The characters are very well developed, and that's actually a book I kind of want to reread now because like I said, I read that book multiple times over the course of 2 years, I think, because it was one of our books that we were supposed to go over in our curriculum, And so I read it. I don't even think, I'm trying to think here. So I had 3 classes, and so I read it for each class, and then I read it for 2 years in a row. So at least 6 times, and that doesn't include all of my prep. So like I read that book prior to reading it. Um, well, technically, I read the book the first time, all the way through with my first period. Like like I didn't read the end before we got there, and that's why I had such an emotional breakdown when like everything starts happening towards the end, like where you're at right now, it gets rough, and like there's some other parts that are definitely difficult to read. And so yeah,
Right. The little girl, the main character, she's just now, I mean, through telling the story to her grandparents during this road trip, I think she's just now coming to reconcile the fact that her mom is not coming back. And that, but I don't know. They're going to Idaho where she's supposed to be with her cousin.
mm-hmm.
I don't know if there's going to be some sort of confrontation or there's going to be some sort of um, resolution between her and her mom, or even if she meets with her mom. But I think she's kind of coming to terms. She actually, that was one of the last passages that I read or I listened to, was that she, through telling the story, she's just now kind of coming to terms with the fact that like her mom is gone and that it's not her fault because she blamed herself for a while.
Yeah,
So so she's kind of coming to terms with the fact that it's not her fault and that it's her mom that made this decision. And I guess I don't know what's going to happen in this resolution, but it's coming to that point. It's coming to that point. It's very close.
the familial story that's being told is a good one. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, like I hope you can get through it in the next couple of days, because I think it honestly, I think this would be a really good book to kind of begin with, like, and dissect it, and
Well,
chop it up.
likely is it's only 6 hours on the audiobook. I'm almost finished. I'll finish it tonight and then I'll go back through with my notebook so that I have character names and things like that, because I think it's important if we're going to do these videos that we refer to the characters by their names and kind of go through it in that way. So yeah, because oh man, between Jade City, between Walk Two Moons, between Stormlight, and what's the other one? The Dragonette Prophecies. I get a little lost with the characters sometimes, so I'll definitely have my notebook handy and make sure that I'm a little more prepared when we actually do a video.
I kind of feel also too that like the one major drawback from doing audiobooks is you do kind of lose a connection. There's like a connective tissue, I feel like, when you're reading a book, like where you're internalizing names, you're internalizing even some of like the metaphors and different
Agreed.
parts of
And even geography.
all of that. Like I think you kind of lose some context when you're listening, because you're allowed to drift,
Yeah,
and you're allowed to kind of focus on other things. Whereas if you're reading a book, like like you're actually reading the book, you're connected. It's just, it is what it is. So yeah,
it's it is definitely more visceral, and especially with books like Mistborn and Stormlight, and even like Lord of the Rings, where there's maps, where there's illustrations,
yeah.
or even like or even like the kids' books. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? Like How to Be a Supervillain. I listened to that audiobook and it was entertaining, but when I actually got the book, there was context and the illustrations actually add a lot more connection to the characters. So there's 100% valid in that. Yeah.
Exactly. All right, man.
Yeah.
Well, I think this will preclude our little trial run part 3, minus
Yeah.
the extracurriculum activity that went on in the previous videos, and we'll check this out on YouTube, and make some notes.
I I didn't sit down at all during
No,
the video.
you didn't sit down. You're just sitting down,
Yes,
just like me. I'm sitting down.
exactly. But I didn't sit down.
All
All right. Yeah, yeah. Send me the link, bro.
right, man.
All right, love you.
Love you too. Peace, dude.